guys are at and choosing this episode today. I'm so excited to have such an amazing conversation with this amazing couple, Jenn and Cristian Garcia. Yes, there you go. We're going to be just having a good chit chat and getting to know each other. I want to be very honest and I want to be very respectful in all aspects and, approach everything. So I apologize if I don't want to offend or in any way.
No te preocupes,
this is
dale.
like first, I want to let that be known, and that way we can address it and just talk about it like normal people, and that way,
No pasa nada.
No pasa nada. That way everybody knows too, like we're cool. I'm excited because this is obviously my first time meeting you guys. I've heard so much about you. Actually, one of my best friends told me, like, get them on the podcast, me.
Yeah.
And which I'm so happy that we got it to work out. I don't know. Talking about learning new things and talking to new people is something I've learned to enjoy, and to hear everybody's story differently. And especially you guys have a unique relationship. I want to know how you guys met, how all that worked out. You guys have a podcast. We have a lot of things to talk about here, you guys.
Let's go.
So let's get into it. I want to know how you guys met. This is Jenn. This is Cristian.
What's up, everybody?
Word of vibes. You guys are cool.
Yeah.
You guys are really cool. Like,
We
David,
tried.
you like them?
We tried.
I like them.
We tried. Hey, if he didn't like us, I don't think he would tell us.
I don't
He
think
seems
lie
cool.
anyways. He's like,
He's like, they're all right, bro. They're all right.
No, but I would love to just to get to know you guys and know your guys' story and how you guys grew up and all that.
All right.
And
Go
he
ahead,
said he's a talker, so
Yeah, I talk a little too much.
go
though.
ahead.
Cut me
Go
off when
for
you
it.
need to.
Go for it.
Go ahead, babe. You start, because I'm going to talk.
Should I say my version or your version?
Oh,
Ooh,
whose
like that.
version is better?
I know.
Mine has more crazy. No, I'm just like, go ahead, babe.
Go ahead.
Take
All right.
take the wheel.
So we actually met, when we were in our party era, de desmadrosos and
Okay,
stuff.
everybody's-
so, Yeah, so he was in his thing, I
world.
was in mine. And when I first met him, I actually didn't like him because I thought he was cocky, and he was
creía mucho.
Sí, like he would
confidence.
always be like, Mr. Mag Daddy, and I was like, ¿Quién se crece? And so eventually, we just continued hanging out. I wouldn't talk to him at all because like I said, no me caía bien. And one day, we went to the car. It was those times where you go somewhere and you go to the car to drink, and then you head
They
back.
don't allow drinking inside.
Yeah,
so
they didn't
pre-gaming
know.
in the car.
Like a pre-game thing. And he happened to be in the car.
Todo está planeado ya.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, great. He's in here. I'm like, but whatever. I got to get my drink, So I went in the car and he was there and we just drank. And then I think he started the conversation. And I was just, and I don't know what happened, but the conversation flowed so smoothly. And we just talked, I don't even think we got out of the car after that.
We didn't do nothing crazy.
Okay,
though.
I was
No, no, no.
Yeah.
Conversation led where?
No.
I know.
To two
No.
babies. No, just-
Two
No.
babies, I know, 10 years later. Can you believe that? And we just were talking the whole time. And even our friends, when they would come to the car, they were like, what the hell? That is so
¿Quién son
weird.
ellos? I thought you didn't like
You
him.
guys knew each other, friends of friends.
Yes.
Yes,
So
through a
we
mutual
met through
friend.
mutual friends.
Mhm.
And our friends were kind of tripping, are they really talking? Because they knew that I didn't like him. Because I would always be like, talking about
But
him.
I have that Riz, you know what I'm saying? Como dicen por ahí, el Riz.
Yeah, and the rest is history. I mean, we played our little game, hard to get and stuff. But that's my version.
Yeah, she was playing real hard to get, but I already know I had it in me. I knew that was in the bag already, but I was like, it's gonna take some time, but
This is a confident ass man.
No.
I like that.
and I think that's why. No, look, yo hablo de más, and I do this and that, pero at the end of the day, it's not I'm not cocky at all. I'm a humble person. I know where I come from. But that's just how I carry myself, and I think it's good. I think it's good, and it ended up it ended up getting her. Yeah, so that's how we met, and we just started talking. Everything flowed really good, and the rest, I guess, is history. But yeah, she was playing hard to get. Look, it's crazy because let me put this part because you didn't put this
I
part.
know,
We
I know
met.
you're gonna say
We
it.
met. We started talking a little bit more at this party we were at, where we were actually kind of flirting a little more. And then we got kicked out of there because my friends were acting up, and we got kicked out of this party. So
He was a bad boy.
I hung out with some bad boys. So when we got kicked out of the party, as I was on my way out, I still didn't have her number. So I was like, hey, like, let me get your number. And she didn't really want to she was still playing hard to get. She didn't want to really give it to me. So then I was like, hey, you know what? Get my number down. So I grabbed her phone, and I put my number in there. And then, I was like, now if she's really interested, she's going to hit me up.
Yeah.
So, the traditional way, I guess, you get the girl's number, but I gave her my number. I was like, I ain't losing this one, you know what I'm saying? And she ended up hitting me up.
You give me your number. I was like, I'm not going to give you mine.
She's playing hard. And then, we just started texting, and then started hanging out without the friends.
Okay.
And that's when we knew, like, oh, so we're kicking it without los otros amigos.
Yeah.
And, the rest is kind of history, I guess. Así fue.
How old were you guys?
21?
No.
20?
20.
I was 20. Yeah, we're 30 now.
Well, I was 19, about to turn 20, and you had just turned 21.
Did you guys ever get, like, obviously judgment, any looks, anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
Of
How
course.
was that? Was it hard?
Because for the viewers out there who don't know, because I'm sitting down, I don't know if you can tell. I'm a little dude. Like, I'm 4 feet tall. I have dwarfism. It's not a disease. Mm-hmm. It is a condition, just to educate people out there. Mido 4 pies de altura. Obviously, she's 5'5". And it's definitely different for someone like her being with someone like me, because in today's world, in today's society, you get a lot of judgment, like, oh, you're with the little guy, like, oh, that's funny or that's crazy. But, it's
easier to
at the end of the day, for sure. And at the end of the day, I thank God for, putting this amazing woman in my life. And, we have an amazing family. We'll talk more about that in the episode. But I'm super blessed to have her in my life.
When we first met, actually, it was something that I had to get used to.
Yeah, of course.
Because everywhere we went, all eyes were on us, and I wasn't used to that. He was used to that, but I wasn't. So I would tell him, like, oh my gosh, like, I think it would bother me more than it did to him.
The looks.
Yeah, the looks. And I would always want to fight people, like, what are you looking at? Like, I would be like, what? Like, and then one day, like, he told me, like, why, like, if it's not bothering me, why does it bother you so much? And I was like, that's when it hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's true. Like, I'm probably making him feel bad, you know? And that's when I kind of calmed down, and it took me time to adjust. But now we go out, and I don't even pay attention to people unless I see someone, like, trying to be funny and, like, take pictures, videos and stuff. Of course, especially now that I have my kids, I do. Like, the other day,
Mama Bear stands
the other day I had to go after a lady and tell her to delete. She was taking pictures and videos of my kids, and I told her, like, you better delete those pictures right now. Like, and she had her kids with her. That's what made it even worse.
But it wasn't like taking pictures because they recognized us on social media. It was just one of those where, like, because for those out there that don't know, our kids are also little like myself, my son and my daughter, Camila and Mateo. So, we're different. Obviously, it does catch an eye. But she was just trying to be, like, on the low key, trying to film, and, like, and then she's seen. I told her, hey, babe, look, that lady's taking.
It's uncomfortable.
So look, and it is. We're here to educate, and we don't try to be, like, like, rude to people. But when people, like, do stuff like that, it does bother you because they're kids. Do whatever with me, take pictures of me, me vale madre. But, like, when you start taking pictures of an innocent child and trying to, I know their intentions with it,
it's
not
super
right.
Super illegal anyway.
It's freaking weird, and it's just weird. Like, oh, you're trying to take pictures of my kids, and, like, so it is. But she went after and made her delete.
Yeah.
No, I would too, and I mean, it's kind of similar, but whatever. But there's people that obviously, like, record my families or whatever. Like, there was someone that was recording me eat the other day.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
I was pissed. It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's like, I think at the end of the day, todos somos humanos.
Exactly.
No matter what it is, nothing, you are human.
Exactly.
I just treat everybody as a human. Be kind. That's as simple as it is. That's so sad.
Yeah.
That is so disappointing.
That was the first time, too, that I actually caught someone taking pictures of my kids. Like, it's different, like, my kids to him.
Yeah.
So, I was so mad.
Obviously, when you had your kids, I don't know. So please educate me as well. Did you know that they were going to come out the same way, or was it like a possibility?
So the way that works, like the science behind it,
Yeah.
when it's a little person like myself with achondroplasia is the correct term.
Okay.
Which is like the most common form of dwarfism, because there's like hundreds, like
Right.
because I know you see different types of little people, se ven diferente, and they have different. But the one what I have is called achondroplasia. It is not a disease; it is a condition. Both of my parents are average height. Ellos no son chaparritos como yo. So
Are you the
it just
only one in your
Yes, I'm the
family?
only little person in my family. I have a brother and a sister. I am the oldest, but I'm the only little person in my family. So my parents had no idea
Right.
till I was like 3 months. 'Cause I was born like obviously a little baby, but at 3 months they're like, oh, he's kind of growing a little slower than the regular. So then they started kind of checking out, and they're like, oh yeah, he's gonna be little and things like that. So now imagine them that they have no resources, kind of like, I mean, like now.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, so what does that mean? Is he healthy? Is he, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything's good. He just, his limbs on his arms and his legs are a little shorter than the normal person or the average person, and that's just how it is. So when it comes to me and my wife, since I'm little and she's average height, the chances are just 50-50.
Okay.
So we know, there's possibilities of having someone with achondroplasia like myself or an average height baby. But yeah, so I don't know, I guess my genes are stronger or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how it
You beat
happens.
me.
So yeah, we could have had someone of average height, but that's just how God wanted it. And
Yeah, for sure.
we're very blessed, and
They're healthy.
they're healthy.
Yeah.
So
Babies. What?
yeah, we're
boys
super.
And, what are they?
Boy and a girl. Yeah, we have our son Mateo. He's 3 years old, and then our daughter Camila, who is 7.
Aw,
Super beautiful
Yeah.
kids.
And you
We're so
guys-
blessed.
Happy families.
Happy
Yeah.
families. Yeah, we're super.
Thank
happy.
God.
How was it growing up for you?
For me,
And like how would you implement that on your kids? Because I feel like the world's a little bit more harsher now, or less. I mean, obviously it might be different, but you know what I mean. Like, how would you help teach them? Because obviously they got to go to school and all that. And I couldn't imagine how to like tell them or talk to them. And
well, Mateo's 3. He understands some things, but Camila, she's already 7. She has more of an understanding of things when we tell her and explain to her. But ever since she was younger as well, we've always told them like, you guys are different. This is what it is, but don't let that hold you back for whatever it is, and not trying to like sugarcoat things. But we tell them like, it's gonna be it's a rough world that we're living in, and the world we live in is not adapted to us, so we gotta find a way to accommodate and just make it happen. So yeah, we teach them to do things on their own and be very independent, because we're not gonna be there forever. So yeah, we teach them that. And Camila, she takes that so very, very good. And yeah, so me growing up, I grew up in like an urban environment on the block with the homies and my friends, and so I was the only little person in my group. Pero yo me juntaba con tremendo, so no one was gonna clown me harder than my homies. You know what I'm saying? So like
true.
that made me tough skin. Like I grew up on the block drinking 40s, whatever.
Yeah.
This 40 ounce bigger than me and stuff. But I never took life too serious. I knew I was different, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make the best of it.
That's
And I just always been very confident ever since I was like younger. My mom always told me like, even when she would try to help me with things like, oh, okay, déjate ayuda. Like, no, mom, like I got this. Just because I think being little and being different, I've always wanted to prove myself to show the world like, you know what, I can do this. It might be 10 times harder or whatever, but I'm like, you know what, I need to prove to myself really that I could do this, and not be soft and like, oh, I need help and things like that. So yeah, growing up, honestly, like I always taught Jen, it sounds crazy, but I feel like I was kind of the bully. I was the bully. Like I didn't, if someone tried to be mean to me, I would stand my ground and be like,
and
oh,
what?
bro, like yeah, like, but I never, I think that it's just the environment I grew up. All my friends were average height, and they didn't treat me any different. I think that's what made it, like, made me the person I am today too. Besides, my parents and things like that. But growing up on the block with the homies and them, not treating me any different, still involving me with everything, and just still doing bad stuff together and everything all around. I think that just made it like different for me. So I think a lot has to do with how you're raised, in the sense of like, everyone parents different. This is how I think, how we do things. Don't like enclose them too much. Don't protect them too much, because you're gonna make them soft, but like they gotta know like it's a crazy world out there, and I think sometimes some kids grow up to be very babied and very like, oh no, mijo, like don't go out there. Like I was outside. I was getting that vitamin D. I was getting, you know what I'm saying? Like I was outside 24/7. Me la pasé en la calle con los amigos and stuff. But I think in the long run, like it made me like who I am, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how it was for me growing up. School, everything was cool. I'm not going to sit here and say like, oh, I was bullied. Like, I just think it all comes down to how you carry yourself.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously if you're, I don't know, different and you don't speak up and not compose yourself, carry yourself well, you know, because the bully's going to be, because people tell me, all right, how are you going to have kids like that if you know they're going to get bullied? I'm like, look, it starts at home, dude.
Yeah.
Worry about your kid. Make sure he's not going to be a bully. You know what I'm saying? And whether the kid is little or big or small or wide or whatever it is you want to say, the bully's going to be a bully regardless. Whether he has new shoes on or old shoes on, the bully's going to find a way. Or so, you know, I think it just starts at home. Raise your kids to be good human beings, and that's just how I see it.
You're very confident, which I like. And I think that's what got her, because I can't imagine the way you raised her up. Like, all right, you guys, we're going to go on a quick break and we'll be back with the Garcia family. Welcome back. Were you at any point like worried or scared?
Yeah, it was. You know, it was new to me too as well, you know. So I did a lot of research.
Oh, babe,
You know?
tell her the question you
I wanna
Googled.
know.
Tell her the question you freaking Googled.
Yeah.
But this is funny. Like, pay attention.
Okay.
So, I mean, of course, like anyone, you know, I didn't know anyone who was little. You know, I've seen other little people, but I didn't really know much about, you know. When I met him and I, like, started feeling things for him, I was just like, you know, obviously it's different.
Yeah.
You know, he's different. So I started, you know, Googling, like, you know, at what age do they die, you know?
Yeah.
You know, stupid question.
I think,
Yeah.
Okay.
You know?
I would too.
Hasta
Yeah.
cuando viven? Is he gonna be around long enough for me?
Yeah, you know, because I'm like, I don't want to fall in love, and then he dies in like 2 years or something, you know.
The fucking, expiration date or what?
So I started, you know, just researching, and like they're pretty much, you know, what to expect.
Yeah.
You know, and if we were to have kids, like what can I expect, you know, and then that's when I found out like it's a 50-50 chance, and pretty much, you know, it's just they could live a pretty healthy, normal life, and obviously, you know, it can come with complications just like anybody else. So yeah, I had to do my research, you know, before I got
Committed.
Yeah. So
But you know what? Like, it makes sense though, because like if I put myself in her shoes, like I probably would have done the same thing. It's
I would've
like
done the same thing.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh wow, like, you know, because you're not educated. And then I think that's why, like on our podcast, it's Love a Little Podcast. That's kind of what we like to push and educate people on, like, you know, on dwarfism and the different things and things like that. Because a lot of people get a misconception of what it really is, and because a lot of us little people are like, it's like a gimmick on TV where you see, like, you'll see like la gente que no sabe, like you'll see like they use us as something funny, or like, oh, you're an elf, like an elf in a movie, or, you know, we're also business people, you know, we have regular families just like other people, and a lot of times the world doesn't see that enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're here to do, and use our platform to educate the world and like let everyone know, like, you know, I'm a hustler too. I'm a business owner, you know, my beautiful wife, I got 2 beautiful kids who were capable of doing above and beyond, like, you know. So yeah, I think it's very important to just educate the world. And like I always tell people, there's never really like dumb question unless, you know, your intentions are to be bad.
of course.
But like, I love when people ask this question, like, oh, what's the correct term for you guys, or do we call you guys, I'm gonna say it, which we don't really like to use because I'm here to educate, like, oh, midgets. Like, midget is not a correct term, and we take it very well. I want to say like like, it's just not a proper, it just sounds, it's derogatory, you know, it just sounds bad. So what we would like to be referred as is by our names, just like everyone else. My name is Cristian, and that's Jen. But, you know, obviously if you're referring, you know, you could say little person or the, you know, LP or whatever. But the M word we don't like to use, just because in the little people community, it's kind of offensive, you know, because when they refer to someone, it's usually like they're clown, like, oh, look at the midget. It's like almost like
a
they're
thing.
referring us to an object.
Yes.
It's like, look at the midget. Like, look at the, like, what the heck, bro? Like, that's weird.
Yeah.
You know?
It's
So,
not- yeah.
And yeah, that's why we're here to educate the world, and it's gonna take us it's day by day, little by little, but a baby step is better than no steps. You know what
Which
I'm
I
saying? So,
appreciate because that's why like I want to
yeah,
I opened up. I was like, you know what, I want to address it. I want to be,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
very respectful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in any situation in general, like
Yeah.
I'm entering your world.
Yeah.
And I want to understand you guys and to see your guys' point of view because obviously
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it. A lot of people don't. And that's the point. I love I love that you guys are educating people and that you take it very not lightly, but very gracefully.
Yeah.
You're not like
No, I'm not like a
harsh
jerk
about it or
Yeah.
like you're an asshole about it. No, like you're just like this is what it is
Mm-hmm.
and how you want to educate
Yeah.
people because I think people deserve to know because you're right. The only way I knew about Little People was on TLC and people would make fun of it and whatever. I don't make fun of it.
Yeah.
But you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it was
Yeah.
like it was taken as a joke and I don't I don't think it's cool. I think it's
exactly.
everybody has their own thing. It's like the way God wanted, the way God intended things and that's the way it is and
Yeah.
you have your purpose and your plan and you're living out your purpose. And it's, educating and bringing light and obviously this is normal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
People have this life and it's okay and it's just
Yeah.
you're
It's
living
a little
normal life.
different.
Yeah,
It's a
it's
little
different.
different, but we're
it
here
doesn't
to.
change who you are. It doesn't change. It doesn't define you either. You mentioned you guys own a business. What business?
Oh, so I have a barbershop. I own a
Oh.
barbershop, and then I have my own clothing brand.
Dope.
And then we do the social media thing and all that. So
So yeah, you guys mentioned the podcast and obviously you
Yeah.
guys talked about your social media. How did that all start too?
Then go
So
ahead. I've been
actually-
talking too much. Go,
Yeah.
man. It's your turn.
Don't worry. My family already knows that when he's around, I have to raise my hand.
You make it seem like I'm a machista.
I know. I'm kidding. Yeah, so actually it's funny. I started around COVID.
Okay.
Well, before COVID, we kind of had started like people just started asking me on Instagram like, "Oh, you guys should like film and do vlogs and stuff." And for a long time, we had the camera. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like for a whole year, but we never like I don't know. It wasn't like our dream or goal.
Right.
Like, oh, I want to be an influencer yeah. So then people kept telling us, and one day we're like, finally, you picked up the camera after like a year, and we just started vlogging and filming and sharing like our life, and people liked it. And then COVID came around. I uploaded a video of my husband getting home from work because he used to work construction.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to be a supervisor at a like big construction company. And I just filmed him with like one of those songs and it blew up.
Wow.
It blew up and it went viral like all over Instagram and TikTok and then more people just started following us and we just kind of took that. We're like, okay, and then that's when TikTok kind of had just came in. Our biggest platform is TikTok.
Right.
And we just continued uploading like TikToks of us and
it worked out.
Yeah, and it worked out.
And in the podcast, you also mentioned that you were working in the medical field
Yeah.
and you left that. What was happening during that time, or was it because of this that you decided to leave?
Yeah, well, I was working in the medical field, and then when I had my daughter, we were kind of struggling with like daycare and stuff like that. And I don't know, when I would leave her at daycare, my aunt used to take care of her, and then when I would come pick her up, she didn't want to leave sometimes. So that broke my heart, and I started getting like anxiety and stuff because she didn't want to be with. Well, not that she didn't want to be with me, but since like they were so good to her too there, and I was like, and I would tell him like, oh my God, like every time I talk about this, I get emotional. I don't know why, but
It's your baby.
I know it's just hard, like having someone else raise your kid, So. And even, like, when I just talk to him about this, I always get emotional. Sorry. But, like, I never wanted that for my kid because me growing up, my mom was always working too, So, like, I don't want my kid to go through what I went through. And I started getting anxiety. I would sometimes go to the hospital because I thought I was like getting a heart attack. Because just because of my daughter, because we had to put her in a daycare, and you just think a lot of things. So my husband was like, just quit. And I was like, I can't, I'm so used to having my own money. Not that I couldn't rely on him, but when my parents raised me.
You're already acostumbrada.
Yes, and my parents always raised me to, like, never depend on a man.
Sure.
Like, I had that mentality. So when he told me, and then he's like, do it. I was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. I called and I said, I'm not coming back. And I didn't go back on him. And yeah, ever since then, I've been a stay-at-home mom. And, luckily, social media was kind of, picking up for us. And we're doing good.
That's good.
And I quit my job.
And then he quit his job like 2 years after.
Okay, but in the same part, I think it was the same where you said that you weren't able to get a job because they didn't want to hire you or something like that?
Oh, yeah, that was another, that was
So
a
that
different
was prior,
time.
huh?
But that was prior to that job.
Okay.
Yeah, I had went, it was a time where I really needed work. It was like desperate, desperate times. I was like, I need a job, different job, better paying job, whatever. Because I had just left some other job. And I went to this job agency, right? But, obviously I look different. My appearance, I'm a 4 foot tall grown man, and it's like, I walk into this agency and I'm like, I'm looking for work. I can do this, I can do that. The lady there comes up to me with like a paper and like a list of other job agencies, right? This is crazy. This is real stuff. This is kind of stuff we gotta deal with not just as little people, but being like different, She came up to me and she's like, oh, we can't hire you here, but here's a list of other agencies that can hire you. And then I was just like I didn't like really get crazy about it or anything. I was just like, oh, why not? She's like, oh, we can't tell you. And I was just like, oh, all right. But I didn't know what to think. I'm just like, at the moment, I was just like, oh, whatever, on to the next. Because I don't get like butthurt easy. I'm just like, I'm not going to sit there and cry and be all depressed and emo, I'm just like, oh, it is what it is. Right. They can't hire me. Vámonos a seguirle a buscarle otro lado. Right. So then I left, and then así platicando with my wife, talking to her, I was like, hey, so they told me they can't hire me there because they just can't. They said they didn't give me a reason. So ella me defiende, like she backs me up like crazy. She's like, oh no, that's not right. Like that's not normal. Like you don't do that. But you know what? I think they seen me as a liability there. Like they see me like, oh, este canijo algo le va a pasar o si se cae o se. I'm like, bro, I could do, And so long story short, one of her family members worked at that agency, but for a different state. Ironically, right? She called up that office and like was tripping, like what the heck, like. And then they knew they were in I could have done some, but I'm not gonna do that.
Right.
Could have like sued or whatever, lo que sea. Pero long story short, because I did need a job. I mean, I should have just been like, nah, I don't want to work for you guys. But I did end up working.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I got a job with them for a little bit. But yeah, long story short, people will judge you by your appearance.
Yep.
So
yeah, which
it's crazy.
And I feel like they also judge you, right, because of everything.
Yeah.
Like, but obviously, you know what you signed yourself up for. Have you ever felt like, damn, like, any moment of like maybe doubt or like, obviously you seem like the type to be a la defensa, like, because I would too, like, but a lot of people don't understand why. So obviously, when you got with him and all that, and you guys are in a committed and you guys are in a beautiful family and it works for you. What is your take on obviously, when things like that happen? Because to him, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it is what it is. But for you, like, what runs through your mind?
Well, when that happened, I was upset because I was like, they're discriminating him.
Yeah.
They're discriminating him off of, his appearance, his disability, condition, whatever you want to call it. And, that's why now with our kids, we're raising them to know that they're different, and then that's going to happen. That may happen, and that's also why our purpose of us doing social media, to educate people. And, just because you're different doesn't mean that, you're incapable of. So we're pretty much, just want to open people's minds up. And obviously it upsets me. I think more because maybe once I was also naive, Sometimes when, like he says, when you're not educated, about a topic or something, you can be very naive, So now that I'm educated on which is dwarfism, and I have an open mind, I'm hoping that others, can see that as well. And next time they run into someone who's different, whether it be dwarfism, blind, whatever, anything that makes them different, it's, let them, give them that opportunity to prove themselves, to show you what they're really capable of, rather than just having, being close-minded.
Of course.
Yeah.
How was it explaining that with your family and friends? Was that...
Well, you know what? It's actually pretty funny. I always get this question, and my family was very supportive. Okay. They, at least to my face, they never told me anything negative about him or about having a family with him.
Anything about the kids?
No, never. Like I said, to my face, behind my back, who knows? I'm not sure. But when I actually, because I'm really close to my oldest brother. So when I,
she's the only girl, by the way. So
no, I'm not the only girl. Well, I'm the youngest.
The youngest girl.
Yeah.
With a lot of brothers.
Baby,
yeah. So I told my brother, hey, I met a guy and, he's short. I just said he's short.
I didn't know that short.
And then he was
he's
like,
short.
Okay. He was just kind of like, okay. And I'm like, no, he's like really short. And then he's like,
they didn't know who he was or nothing?
No, they hadn't met him.
About him or nothing. Okay.
And this is when I knew, that I was like serious, that I wanted to be with him and stuff. And he was just like, okay, like, so what if he's short? And then I didn't know how to tell him that he was a little person, because I was scared of, to get a bad reaction, or something. And I told him, I'm like, he's a little person. And then I think he like, oh, I get it. Okay. And he was like, well, if you're sure about it, like, then it is what it is. And one thing he told me is, he's like, I just hope it's not like you just getting an experience, right, or like playing with him, as like a joke or like a fun thing.
He was more on his side.
Yeah. Like a fetish, because many people, let's talk about it.
There's a fetish?
There's people.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, people have fetish for everything. But, like, I get a lot of comments, like, on my socials, like, oh, she must have a fetish. Like, no, I don't have a fetish. I've never been with another.
Like,
yeah. I've never been with a little person before him. Like, I'm just never into little people. Like, if me and him or something, he was not here anymore, like, no, I probably would not date another little person because it's not a fetish, So let's clear the air.
For real, people got that question.
Yeah. And
but you fell in love with him because of him.
Yeah, because of him, And my parents, when I told my mom, she was very like, okay too. Like, she was just like, well, actually my mom, where she grew up in Mexico, I think there was like a family of little people.
Okay.
So it wasn't like as...
Yeah.
Because
you kind of understood it more, right?
Yeah. And I always told her, I'm like, because in my school, there was 2 little people as well. I was like, it was God preparing my future.
Dropping hints. You put a couple little people right here. A couple little people here.
This is what's going to happen.
Yeah. I always tell him, I think God was preparing me for my future, And my dad...
this one's funny.
This is a funny story. Okay, I'm pretty sure your mom probably performed at Pico Rivera.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you remember back then, but they used to have little people, bullfighting. Like a show. Enanitos Toreros prior to like the singers. Well, my dad used to take us a lot. Like to
God
Pico Rivera.
This was, yeah. This was God, okay?
That's funny. That's hilarious. Okay. Sprinkle little people over here, some over here.
Yeah.
Give it a couple more years, I'll bring another one out.
You know you're gonna be in the car talking to him.
I know. Okay,
That's
so
hilarious.
They would take you. He would take you.
yeah, like that was like he used to love taking us, and we used to like going too. And so when I told my dad, I didn't know how to tell him, right? I was like, "Oh, Dad, I just wanted to tell you," because my dad was always like I don't want to meet no guys unless it's serious, like type of guy. So it was serious. So I was like, "Okay, how do I tell him? How do I tell him?" I was like, "Dad, I just wanted to tell you that I have a boyfriend," and he was like, "Okay," and then I was like, "But he's different." Like, he's like, "Yeah, well, you guys all say that." Like,
right. He's thinking of guys and like he's different.
One. Yeah. And I'm like, no, like he's really different, Dad. Right. Like I'm like, he's short. He's like, again, okay, so what if he's short? I'm like, how do I tell him? So I'm like,
no, he's short.
I'm like, Dad, remember when you used to take us to Los Enanitos Toreros? And he's like, oh yeah, I remember. And I'm like, and then I'm like, he's short. Like that, like, and he's like, oh.
It's the for everybody.
He's short.
I'm like, tiene enanismo, like he's short. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, pues es pa ti, no pa mí. He told me that.
There you go.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh okay. Yeah. But, it was just so funny the way, like, how am I going to explain? I'm like, okay, well, enanitos toreros. Like, that's the only way. Even I got nervous. But, my family loves him. All my family love him. And he can tell you for himself, like, I don't think they've ever made him feel different or uncomfortable, and I'm glad. I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I'm like, I think I talk to her family more than she does.
Yeah.
Me llevo con los tíos. Everyone's super dope. Like we're like, yeah, they're very, very good people.
All right, you guys, we're gonna go on a quick break, and we'll be back with the Garcia family. Welcome back. You also had like a period when I don't know which one, but they had mentioned like maybe you shouldn't keep your baby. Right?
Oh, yeah.
How was that for you, and like what went through your head, obviously, because I don't think any person ever wants to hear those things. You know what I mean? And especially, no one ever wants to hear that. Yeah. So like, what was it? What was that time for you?
Yeah. So it was actually, when you're pregnant and they're measuring your baby. Yeah. So that's when they tell us, like, that's when they could tell if they're going to be little.
So they could tell average. You while they're in the womb. Okay.
Yeah. Especially now, it's different because the dad is little too. Right, so they know the possibilities. But I think it's a little different. When
they start measuring, like, their limbs and everything, make sure that everything is good. Yeah. And the doctor, I remember he stepped out and came, like, so I was like, okay, what's going on? At this point, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like my baby probably died or doesn't have a brain or something, I'm thinking the worst. And then he tells me that, my daughter, it was my firstborn, that she's going to be little. So I was like, oh, okay, because my husband's little. I knew.
But he didn't know. He didn't know that.
But I don't think he knew, or I don't think he looked at my chart to see that I had put that he, like, my husband was little. So he told me, and I was just like, okay. And he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. Like, because I tell Christian, I think it's different, when a first-time mom, for example, like his mom, and they were to tell her reaction would probably be more different, more scared
Yeah.
But since I knew, I wasn't scared. I mean, I knew, you know?
This was the first or the second thing?
Yeah, my first,
Okay.
my daughter. So he was like, you know, you can still terminate. And I was already halfway through my pregnancy. I was 20 weeks. You know, at this point, I could already feel her and stuff. And I was just like, no. And then he's like, okay, like if you change your mind, let me know.
But there was no reason why. Like,
No,
it was just because she wasn't
because
growing?
Yeah.
just because she
She had
was
achondroplasia like me.
achondroplasia.
But
Yeah.
you didn't know that, like, the dad is a little person too.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like different. I feel like
So
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Okay. So
Like-
maybe if he knew.
Yeah.
it would have been like,
Well,
oh,
I
like,
mean,
it makes sense.
Uh-huh.
you know?
But would he
But I
be
think they still probably.
would they still have suggested it?
I'm
That's-
sure.
Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
sure.
they would. And people do terminate at that age when something,
Right.
you know, comes. But I told Christian, I'm like, you know, I like, if I would have been him, I don't think I would have said it like that. You know, I think,
No, I feel like that's hard.
yeah,
It's almost like
it was,
they want you to. Like, I feel like sometimes.
Yeah.
It's almost like, are you sure? Like, are you really? Yeah, you know? Money
Yeah.
talks. And it's like, are you sure? And then it's like, are you sure? But
That's
it's
like gaslighting you though.
Yeah.
That's like
Crazy.
super manipulative.
That's
like,
how
in
I
your
felt.
head, like
Yeah.
this is a baby. Like
Yes.
you know, obviously, like you know. Imagínate si if you did, if that
Yeah.
doctor really got in your head.
mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
It upsets
Yeah.
me.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Oh,
I was so upset too. And then I told him, like, yeah, can you believe he told me, like, if I wanted to terminate? I'm like, I could feel my baby, like, no, I don't want to terminate. And, you know, I was upset. I was, you know, but I guess that's their job, right? Or whatever. And a lot of times, you know, women do want to terminate if there's something different or wrong with their babies. So, but yeah, it was. I still remember, and when I was pregnant with my son, I made sure not to get him.
yeah,
You know, I'm like, no, I don't want him again because,
yeah, no.
and thank God both of our kids are healthy. You know, my son, when he was younger, he did have to have surgery,
Okay.
but it's a very common surgery with little people and with average height people. But thank God they're both healthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah, because when I was like that, obviously I get passionate about like doctors or whatever, like because I just feel like they're not doing it correctly, and
Yeah,
puts like they're very negative when they're supposed to be the total opposite.
exactly.
You know what I mean? And I think as a woman, like it's just no one ever wants to hear that, and it's just like you said, money talks. Money
crazy.
talks, and it's
Yeah.
just like it's just disappointing, and I don't know. Like it's just I think overall, if everybody had the same respect for each other, like and accepting, I guess, nature and the way God wants everything, like I feel like it'd be just I don't know, the world would be a better place.
Yes.
Like, and I have, maybe that's just me, but I have a lot of love and respect for whatever type of person, any, little, average, gay, lesbian, all this, like whatever you want to be, man, woman, trans, like I just feel like it comes back to you, good karma. Like, and I think God also honors and respects like people that have good intentions, good hearts, and that would be my hope as for, I guess, doctors, the people that we give all our fucking money to, like,
And
who are
trust,
famous,
right?
Exactly.
Like the ones you trust.
Exactly. So like, I don't know. That's just so disappointing, and I can't imagine like what you guys obviously go through every day, and it's different for everybody. How do you guys handle, because obviously you guys have a good support system on social media, and everybody loves the content, but obviously there's always the bad side of
haters.
people, the
Yeah.
haters, and the people that talk shit and that are probably mad that you guys are a happy couple and live
Yeah.
a normal life and don't understand it. That's how do you guys handle all that?
Man, all right. So, we're here to spread positivity. That's
Yeah.
why we use the platform. So, obviously sometimes you do see comments and I'm like, man, I want to roast this dude so
Yeah.
bad, or I want to get back on him, But
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? No, that's not what I was placed on this earth to do. I'm here to spread positivity. I'm not supposed to hate on him back. Let him do his thing, even though it's like a picture of a cat and he's like commenting some crazy stuff.
I know.
But, I'm not gonna entertain something that shouldn't be. So like we just kind of, I guess, put it on the back burner. We just let it be, let it do its thing. And then since we do have a really dope support system, like a veces entre ellos, they're in the comment section fighting, and we don't even respond sometimes. Like there'll be like a
do
negative
it for
comment,
you.
and then you see our like people that like supporters or whatever just attacking. And we're just right there, like, wow, look at people really are going crazy over there. But other than that, I think to do this social media thing, you can't be like soft skinned.
No.
Like, and I say this, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone in the social media world, it's not a easy thing to put your life out there, because especially if you get very hurt with like
If you're
negativity.
sensitive, yeah.
If you're sensitive, you're not gonna survive out there. That's
Yeah.
all I got to say. They will chew you up, spit you out. They will say things about your kids, say things about you, say horrible things. But at the end of the day, you know who you are as a person. Tú duermes a gusto en tu casa, and I think that's what matters most, because
Yeah.
people could say things. It doesn't, sticks and stones may break my bones, like we said, but freaking words ain't gonna hurt me.
There
That's
you go.
it. Yeah.
They're
But,
mad over like behind the screen, and we're
Yeah,
like
so,
living our
like-
best life,
You know
happy,
what?
and
Exactly.
so-
Exactly. You're happy, and they're probably miserable and
Yeah.
very
Exactly.
unhappy marriage.
And I think the crazy thing about it is I can't sometimes, because I like to see things in every perspective and and I try to put myself in like a negative person's shoes, right? I'm like, okay, they're hating on me because I have my wife and I have my kids, and I'm like, you know what? Now that I think about it, they have every reason to hate me,
Yeah.
because look, they see me that I'm different, quote unquote. I'm a little dude, right? And then I'm like with my beautiful wife, and then I have my beautiful kids, and like my life is going pretty well, and they're like, man, I'm pretty, quote unquote, normal. Like, when is that gonna happen for me? Like, and then they're just hating on me because I'm like doing all right in life. So like I get it, like they're mad, and
Yeah.
but I mean that ain't my problem.
Like
you know
we
what I'm
just,
saying?
I just uploaded a video last week that went like pretty viral too, and all the comments are like, oh, like if he can do it, like what's wrong with me? Like those type of comments.
It's kind of like,
And
when
I'm
it's
like,
gonna be my turn?
that's your problem. Like
Yeah.
you're like trying to be superior to someone who's different instead of just like worrying about yourself, or like si él puede, yo por qué no, or like I can't even get a text back. I'm like, because you have that mentality.
Yeah.
That's
The way
why
you are.
know. So
Dude,
don't be that
literally,
person.
It comes down to like how you are as a person. People think, like I said, because they're normal and que esto y que el otro, but they're jerks, or they're probably like a horrible person.
Yeah.
And it's like, why does he get that and I'm still in my room, like just not doing nothing?
Yeah.
It's like, bro, it's how you carry yourself, how you are as a person. At the end of the day, that's what
How
it
you
comes
treat
down to. How
people.
you treat people, if your intentions are good, And yeah, people, we get a little bit of everything, but we
Yeah.
take it, and I say, vámonos.
Overall,
No pasa
it's
nada.
more of a blessing.
Oh, yeah,
of
for
course,
sure.
of course.
And both of you, this is like your full-time job now.
Yeah, we
Or-
do.
and
Yeah,
the
we
barber
do.
shop,
So
right?
yeah, we have like a little barber shop and
business.
stuff, and then we have our like clothing brand, and yeah, this is what we've been doing for the past, what is it, 3 years, 3 years, 4 years, and we're very blessed. I mean, it's not easy because having your own things is
Yeah.
hard.
Mm-hmm.
You could clock in whenever you want, but at the same time, you never clock out. You're always
It's
in
a
it.
risk.
You're always in it, and you risk a lot more, Sometimes I that's the thing. Like, sometimes I tell myself, like, because, I've worked in construction. I used to work, I know this sounds exageradamente, like, exagerado, but, like, I was working 16-hour shifts, 7 days a week, like, crazy, like, slave stuff. Like, I was in there all day, every day. That's when she quit her job, So I already know what it's like working out there, And respect, and a huge shout out to all the people working out in the sun, all the hard workers, all the chefs, all the doctors, todos los que, putting in hours. My salute to you guys. I really, like, I respect every single hard worker out there, But yeah, this is, it's not easy, And I'm not saying it like, because I know people get roasted, like influencers get roasted on here and be like, oh, it's not easy. All you gotta do is film with the camera and stuff. But there's a lot to it. You're sacrificing a lot. You're putting a lot on the line, because it's like, it might work, it might not. But like, if you really believe in it and you go 110%, it can go very well. So
For sure. And it's
But yeah.
obviously worked out for you guys. And
Yeah.
for a good reason.
Yeah.
And I think that more importantly, it's like I've always said, like, you guys have the greatest intentions and ultimately wanting to educate and share your guys' lives.
Yep.
Like I feel like the real side, like this is what goes down. This is what happens. This is how we're raising our kids. And this is what it works out for you guys.
Yeah.
And I salute you guys because
you.
I'm sure
Appreciate
it's
it.
not easy. And the comments and, you know, people and reactions and stepping outside. It's probably like, do you guys ever like think about like, do I want to step outside today sometimes?
No, that never. No, I honestly like I love when because now we're getting how do I say not saying it like that, but now we're getting stared at for different reasons because we've gotten some recognition on social media.
So it's like a
so
mix.
now it's more like people come up to us like, hey, you know, can we take a picture?
That's
and it feels
dope.
good, and I think that's why we're also doing this so we can get like we can have the presence of like, you know, being able to give that positive message out, you know. And now when they see us, it's more like, oh, that's Cristian and Jenn, the Garcia family. Like, we love them because of what they do, you know, and that's what we're here for. But we love it. People come up to us all the time. And you know, I think at the end of the day, what matters is like changing one person's perspective, you know, like, or just educating them because it's crazy. We get messages like, man, I used to be depressed and I used to do this and that. And, you know, I've thought about, you know, like, ending my life or whatever, but when I see you guys and I see like, you know, your purpose and I see the way you do things, like, you know, they it gives them hope. And I'm like, yo, that's so crazy that we're changing people's lives. Like, we're literally like from, you know, from our platform or the message that we put out. And I think that's amazing. You know, if we could change one person's life, like, I think we already did what we had to do. You know what I'm saying? So
that's
yeah, we're super blessed to be able to do that.
That's good. Yeah. And I feel like it's ultimately the plan and the purpose.
Yep.
What you guys have to do. And you know what's cool? And I just thought about it right now. I love that you guys are Mexican. You guys are Mexican, right?
Yeah.
Latino? Where are you guys from?
And my mom's from Nayarit and my dad from Zacatecas.
Okay.
And then my mom's from Zacatecas and my dad's from Jalisco. Well, we're both born in, raised over here in California.
But you guys,
yeah.
But I say that because
Mexican.
I've never met any. I've always seen it like, you know, it's white, it's other people too.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But it's dope, and I like me llevo bien. Like I feel like
Yeah. We understand each other.
Yes, like it's like
Yeah.
okay, and it's different because I don't think I've never seen. I don't think anybody has ever seen. You're like little dude, and you know,
así igual mexicano los dos.
Yeah,
It's funny.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's cool.
We get a lot of comments.
We get that a lot.
Like,
They always ask like, what are you?
I've never seen a
You know
Mexican
what people
person.
say, and I don't take this bad because you know I don't get offended. They because you know they refer me as an object like or whatever. They're like, oh, they come in Mexican too.
yeah.
Hijos de su pinche madre. But you know, I mean, I don't take it bad, but it's like, but that's a good example. Like, you know, you don't really.
Yeah.
But that's why we're here to freaking, you know,
Dude,
show the world.
that's
Somos chingones.
Yeah.
¿no?
There you go.
Orgullosamente.
Too.
Oh, a little bit, you know.
What do you got going on? I see Camila, the
Jesus
baby's
feet.
name.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got.
Everywhere?
My clothes, but
He's
my
like-
kids right here.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
Who
so-
did that?
And,
It looks.
hey, shout out to my boy MV EMV underscore tattoos. Hey, I be showing him love. But yeah, you know, she has some tattoos and stuff too. You know,
He's
we
nearby
love
too. He's
we're
in
raised.
Lancaster.
Dang.
Oh, he's in Lancaster. We're out in Carson, like the harbor area,
Okay.
by
Not
like
bad.
towards Long
Alright,
Beach.
alright.
Shout out to my Carson people.
Oh, he's from Carson.
Who?
Oh,
Oh yeah.
she
Well, we went to
said-
the same school together.
Okay.
That's how we kind of know each other.
Okay.
Crazy story with her too. And then I've seen her because I used to come on Estrella TV too, doing stuff over there. And I've seen her with your sister over there and
Yes.
stuff like that. So
Yeah, I love.
yeah,
Go.
I was gonna say small world, literally, literally.
Well, okay. Obviously, we talked about your family, the struggles, your social media, and just educating on the topic in general. Ultimately, do you guys have anything that you guys want to do in the future that you're like, this is what we're gonna do. This is why we're doing this.
We are like, we have a bunch of little projects. So like we have the clothing brand, which we do a lot of stuff for. Like we do. I do a lot of. I'm big on like the hat thing and stuff. And I put a lot of like Mexico states on there because I like to represent for our Mexicanos and the culture is beautiful. You know, we can't forget where we came from. So that's something that I hold dear in my heart. My art clothing brand. It's called Puro Pa Adelante brand, by the way, because at the end of the day, it's Puro Pa Adelante, no te agüites, because we gotta do what we gotta do. And then also, we wanna eventually, just kind of, I guess, do like talks. I guess kind of how we're doing now, but in a travel the world and maybe talk to people and just let them know, like, you know, even though you're different or que eres así or eres asá, you know, that it can be, at the end of the day, it's all how you carry yourself and, you know, no te agüites. So, yeah, we want to be, you know, we want to do something good for the world.
For sure.
I want to change it one day at a time, you know.
One day at a time. What about you? Is there any, like, some type of piece of advice that you would give and, you know, in your position? And it could go as far as, like, anything. It could be abortion. It could be being with him. It could be your anything.
Yeah. So my advice is don't judge a book by its cover. We go by that strongly.
Like, that's the best book I read.
Yep. And honestly, don't be scared to, you know, try something new because you never know. You know? And for those that are always, you know, saying how, you know, they can't find love and stuff, stop focusing on your dream man. My dream man was never a 4 feet tall guy, you know? But look at me. Honestly, I live a good life. I'm happy, you know? And I always tell him if I had to do it again, I would do it again.
Aww.
Yep. So.
She's a writer.
There you go.
You know?
She's a writer. Right?
Stop focusing on looks, you know, the outside. You know, sometimes it's more than just that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Aww.
That's my advice.
Yeah, that was cute. No, I want to thank you guys. I think that you guys have definitely inspired me, educated me, and I can imagine what you guys will do in the future. You know, aquí tienen su casa también whenever you guys want to be here. Like,
thank you.
If you guys ever want to come back and spill the chisme too.
Yeah.
You gotta,
Nos gusta el chisme.
no, but for real, I really appreciate you guys can feel like your humbleness and your genuineness, and
thank you.
you know,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna support you guys.
Thank you.
And
Thank
your babies and whatever
Thank
you
you.
guys do in the future, I pray that God continues to bless it.
Thank you.
And that, you know, you live out your full purpose and what it was intended for, and, you know, pure happiness and love for you guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Best of
Thank
luck
you.
on all your
Thank you so much.
businesses and all your endeavors, and share your guys' social media so that they can find you and your business, whatever you guys want to do. Share it. Your time. Go for it.
All right. Thank you, by the way. I truly
course.
appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah, we have a couple things. I mean, sorry if it's going to be long, but we have our podcast, which is Love a Little Podcast. She came up with the name. So Love a Little Podcast. And then on there, you can see our Instagram, both our Instagrams in the bio. And then you can find us on YouTube and TikTok as The Garcia Family.
The Garcia family.
Yep.
Love that.
And thank you for having us.
No, thank you. I honestly,
Pleasure.
it was such a good conversation. Like,
Yeah,
I
it was
loved
good.
it. Maybe that's just, you know, I'm mean, but I love
Yeah.
it. I think it's fun.
That's awesome.
But
you.
thank you guys so much. Thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Please show love and support to the Garcia family. Be kind to everyone. It doesn't hurt to be kind. And I will see you guys next